So I'm going to turn this over to Alberto for an update on our Polio Plus challenge.
Well, first off, hi everybody. Second, the T-shirt with End Polio Plus are show only on the back, so I have it here. This is another one, but this actually doesn't show that real good. But you all aware about the challenge? We're almost at the final stretch. I know that my challenge goes out to the end of the month, but we would like to see as many fellow members as we possibly can donate to polio before this week. So before next week, where we're going to have a chairman of International Polio Plus Committee, Mike McGovern, to come up and talk to us about polio, the progress, and we really hope to have a really good crowd next week. So again, let me remind you a couple of things. My challenge is, first off, I encourage everybody to donate at least $25 to the Polio Plus Fund. We have several members that have already done that. Other members still have not. We'll hope you're going to do that this week, because we're going to show Mr. Mike next week how good we are in supporting End Polio. Remember, it's like polio is like it's been on for 30 years, but it's like when you build a house. You have a concrete pad. In a week, the frame is up. Everything's soon. Oh, wow, that's quick. And then it takes another 3 months to complete your house. So the devil is in the details. On over 7 billion people, we only a few people on 2 only endemic nations that are still coming up with new wild polio virus every year. But we're talking about tens of people. So we're really close, like 50 people so far between 2 nations. And so I encourage, that's my friend Ramesh and Ferris. He's a big advocate for Polio Plus. And so remember, another thing, if you want to do, if you donate $100, I will donate 100 points on my personal points. Or if you want to become Polio Plus Society, which is hard to see with this is a pin that comes with it. Once you do the pledge, and I will send out more information today or tomorrow to everybody on how to become a Polio Plus Society member. It's basically committing to give $100 a year. You can do it all at once, and you're going to receive a certificate and this pin, beautiful pin from Rotary, from our district, because their district basically controlled and led initiative. And once you've done $100, you can do it $10 a month. You can do it recurring $25 a quarter. You become Polio Plus Society. So please do it. I'm so excited, and we'll see where we're at next week. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Alberto. And speaking of this close, when we're thinking about polio, so continuing our timeline from the previous 2 meetings, in 2000, a record 550 million children, which is almost 10% of the world's population, received the oral polio vaccine. The Western Pacific region, spanning from Australia to China, was declared polio-free. In 2006, the number of polio endemic countries dropped to 4: Afghanistan, India, Nigeria, and Pakistan. In 2009, Rotary's overall contribution to the eradication efforts neared 800 million. In January, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation pledged 355 million and issues Rotary a challenge grant of 200 million. This announcement resulted in a combined $555 million in support of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. In 2011, Rotary welcomes celebrities and other major public figures in a new public awareness campaign and ambassador program called This Close. And so we're going to try to watch this video, and let's see how many people you recognize as celebrities in this video.
We are this close.
We're this close.
We are this close.
Of wanting to
making history.
This close to changing the world. We're this close.
This close to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease
ever again. This close.
We are this close to ending polio.
Ending polio. All we need is you.
This close.
If we don't act now, we may lose this chance forever. Help Rotary make history at endpolionow.org.
I am going to turn this over to Candace, who's going to introduce our speaker. And we're looking forward to hearing more about music therapy.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia. First of all, I want to share that the inspiration for this program started over a year and a half ago. I think it was March 2023 when we had a speaker, Jim Staker, who was a retired music director from the Midwest, and he now lives in South Carolina, but he spoke to us about music and the brain. And we do have a recording of that, and just as a sidelight, the link to that will be included in the follow-up email to this meeting in case you want to go back and look at that, or if you didn't have access to it at the time. So that sort of got me thinking more about the role of music, and clearly in all of our lives, actually, or many of our lives, and certainly in Greg's and mine. And that was reinforced earlier this year when Jim Funk, our guest today, visited us with our member Ben Smith. They both work for the South Carolina Business Development Consortium. And sorry if I messed that up, Jim, but anyway. And I realized or noticed in Jim's bio that he was extremely passionate about this thing called Piedmont music therapy. So I followed up with him, and he gave me more information about what they do. And that prompted me to reach out to Gretchen Benner, our speaker today. So it's been a theme in development, and actually after our program today, I don't think it'll be a surprise to you, but anyway, I want to let you know that one of our service projects for this fall will be for you to look around your house and see if you have any random harmonicas or drums or anything else that's gathering dust. And you will be asked to bring it to our breakfast on November 9th if you happen to be in Greenville and attend. And those instruments, those instruments that need some TLC from somebody, will be donated to Piedmont Music Therapy. We have already transferred one item, a keyboard, that I actually got from a friend in Swannanoa a couple of months ago, and it's a really good thing that I got it from her then, because she's been a little bit busy since then, living way up in one of those hollows. So that was delivered to, the keyboard was delivered to Piedmont Music Therapy this week. So you'll be hearing more about that donation opportunity. But in the meanwhile, Gretchen, wow. You are the executive director of Piedmont Music Therapy Clinic and Studio, and you engage and empower and accompany individuals to reach their goals grounded in the frameworks of music therapy and social work. You strive to meet students and clients where they are and support them in improving their quality of life. Additionally, you serve to promote the growth of music therapy students and board-certified music therapists by offering educational opportunities plus increasing the community's awareness of this field of music therapy. You're an alumna of the Duquesne University and University of Pittsburgh. You've worked as an adjunct faculty at Queen's University here in Charlotte as a music therapy practicum supervisor and adjunct field instructor for the Department of Social Work at Winthrop University. I suspect that might be where you and Jim kind of made a connection over there at Winthrop. Gretchen, you're honored to serve the Carolinas with your talented team of music therapists and support access to creative and expressive art. You're also first aid and CPR certified by the American Red Cross for children and adults, and I suspect that might just come in handy if people get too excited about all the fun they're having. Anyway, Gretchen, it's all yours. Take it away and welcome.
Thank you, Candace. It's nice to meet with you all, and I wanted to double check. Can you all see the slide deck? Wow, that's amazing. Okay. I can't see it on my Zoom screen, so as long as y'all can see it, we'll get through this. But Candace, thank you so much for the invitation. And Jim Funk serves on our board of directors, so I'm very grateful for Jim's introduction today. So you heard a little bit about Piedmont Music Therapy. We have been around for a little over a decade, and last year made history because we shifted from an LLC for-profit to a 501c3 status non-for-profit. And the reason why I started the company and then made the leap to transition to nonprofit status is because music therapy is not covered by insurance. So a lot about what you will hear today is how to increase access to research-based treatment that can help kiddos and adults. So our mission, Candace shared, we are on social media. Our main location is in Westinghouse Boulevard off of exit 1A 77 near Carowinds. So do reach out if you've ever liked to schedule a tour. And then our community location is in Rock Hill through a collaboration with Rogers Memorial Church. So that's a great community space for residents of Rock Hill, Clover, that don't have to commute so far into the city. Here's a glimpse of our team. You will notice that everyone has an MTBC behind their name, and that's a national certification. We all went to college and accrued a degree in music therapy. Then you can sit for a board exam, and I encourage you all to check out Certification Board for Music Therapist.com. CBMT is how you fact check because there is no title protection or licensure in the Carolinas. However, if we lived a state away in Georgia, you have licensed music therapists, so it's a lot easier to fact check them in the state regulations, but not so much in the Carolinas. So Molly and Gabby are alumna of Queen's University of Charlotte, former interns we were grateful to hire on. Miriam has her master's degree in music therapy from App State, so she's a proud Mountaineer. And like Candace shared, my LMSW is from Pitt, so Social Work Direct Practice. So Jim is one of our 7 members on our board of directors. There's a little throwback to an Instagram post when we were doing a spirit night at a local custard shop in Fort Mill. But we're very grateful for our board of directors that are actively involved to ensure our organization is sustainable and accessible. So a little bit about music therapy. We will have a section for questions at the end, but I'm already impressed by so many people's backgrounds on their Zoom screen. So thanks for the support. Just looking at some of your creative backdrops, it looks like you already have a glimpse of my work day. Music therapy treatment, for a definition for those that are unfamiliar, is the use of music in a clinical setting by a board-certified music therapist to help a client or patient. How the music therapist works with the client or patient depends on the setting. When I used to work in a hospital, my first job was on psychiatric units. So I worked with adults that had mood or thought disorders, and we used music therapy to help them feel better. I also used music therapy to help people with substance use disorders who were detoxifying. They were tapering off of a drug of choice. So the arts, as you all may know, helps us feel human. It helps us normalize and connect with others a lot easier than just speaking the painful words that one feels. At Piedmont Music Therapy, we're an outpatient clinic. So these numbers I'm sharing with you all on the screen are going to be glimpses of our first and second quarters. As you heard from Candace, our mission is threefold. One is music therapy treatment with children or adults. Those diagnoses may be traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, autism, dementia, all ages, so that a various diagnosis base. We also offer studio lessons. So that's what it means when private lessons. So children or adults that want to learn how to play an instrument in a healthy setting. I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, so very performance-driven educators. And sometimes you didn't think they were the friendliest educator. So our studio approach is, as long as they're having fun, learning, that's the goal. We're not going to make perfect robots on any instrument they choose. However, we still want them to enjoy the learning and enjoy playing of the instrument. And lastly, community events such as today's educational speech about what we do and how we work in the community to help answer questions. So we're a busy team. This was Q1. And a little bit about the numbers. So just in Q1, we had the honor and opportunity to work with almost 1,000 people in the 2 counties of Mecklenburg and York County. So we're just on the border, as we spoke of. And what a better way to get us going with some song. So who here is familiar with "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning"? All right, I see some hands. Thank you. Yeah. You don't have to unmute yourselves. That's the beauty of being on a Zoom call. But I am going to sing through the chorus and one of the last verses in the chorus again. And I invite you to sing from where you are. Simple as that. What do you think? Questions? Most of music therapy sessions is live and interactive. Why? Because we're able to use clients' preferred music. We're able to give them a percussion instrument to get involved. All right, can you hear the guitar? Sometimes Zoom can't. Oh, great. I'm grateful when technology works. So this is that march feel. You might even sway back and forth. Feel free to join in song. Chorus. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy, such a tree. And an old weeping willow is laughing at me. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All right. I believe I saw, so I saw some American Sign Language earlier too with Ronaldo, but that's right. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of music because research shows the more involved you are with the arts, the healthier your life is. Simple as that. You'll notice in the slide I'm sharing, there's some underlined words. And this would be an easy way, even on a dementia care unit, we would do some songwriting. So instead of all the sounds of the earth are like music, we would say, what's a sound you might hear on an October morning? The leaves. Okay, what do the leaves sound like? And then we use a dry erase board if they don't have tech devices, and we do some lyric substitution. So that would be all under the cognitive domain. But as you could tell, some of you are already grinning when I said we're going to sing this, oh my gosh, me. And so it helps people of any age or ability create and express themselves in a non-judgmental way. We don't often record sessions unless client knows we're taking data or their loved one is on a closed circuit link to be able to observe without being in the session space. So thank you for enjoying some music with me from Oklahoma on this October day. It's finally getting cool in the Carolinas. I'm so grateful for that. Again, just a little overview. Again, the threefold mission. So Q2, and this is available on our website. We also offer a blog page, which seems to be very valuable, especially for local educators that kind of have a large class to teach. So they may have some neurodiverse students and they're not sure what to do or how to adapt music education for all learners. So part of our studio lessons, especially if it's an adapted learner, will include color-coded sheet music, color coding the keyboard like Candace just donated from a friend in order for someone to match the colors a lot easier than standard music notation. So that is available. And what better way to share about the role I get to help serve on a daily basis than sharing people that have received music therapy. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to walk through some testimonials before sharing more resources. So this one on the left is from one of our partner sites. We work with over a dozen nonprofit organizations in the Charlotte Metro. Most of our work is mobile. So most of it is us bringing tons of instruments and sanitizing wipes to provide a music therapy group or drum circle for anyone that's never even touched an instrument or feels like this is not the day for them. That's where the instrument and the music comes in. So this participant from a previous drum circle at a facility for truly recovery from a substance use disorder shared, drum circle gives us women here an opportunity for the cadence of our hearts to come together and create the beautiful soundtrack that living in a community creates. A charmingly disheveled mess, yet love. So that's a client's words you heard. Another feedback is from a studio family, so taking weekly lessons. Thank you so much. Our son has enjoyed his time at PMT. We're so thankful that he had this opportunity and for you being patient with him on his most silly days. You have done a wonderful job with him. So, what better way than another song? Who here has ever heard of Bruno Mars? Thank you. Okay, I see a hand wave. Those that haven't, I'm just going to ask you to show some finger numbers. All right, so in this song, we're either going to be doing 1, 2, 3, or 4, 3, and 2. So you're just going to be, I was trying to think creatively here, right? A remote meeting, how are we going to do this? So you've got some folded numbers. The gist of the song that we use a lot in school-based contracts through Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District and a lot of private schools we partner with, music inherently helps us socialize. If you give everyone an instrument, we are a group, right? So that role change. And so this song is just so positive if you ever listen to it later. It's one of the more appropriate songs to listen to by Bruno Mars that you won't need to have filtered for lyric inclusion. But when we use this, it's really just empowering to look around, right? To lean on your peer with the mental health crisis that we're in for all ages. The more we can recognize who is someone you can count on. And if not, let's find someone for you to count on in your days of need. So this song is pretty long. There are lots of verses, but we're just going to do the chorus. And you can even hum along because it's repetitive. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. One more time. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Right, and just think of how how affirming, thank you, Candace. Just think of how affirming that is to have a printed sheet of lyrics. These days we're so tech-based, but if we're able to work with clients to give them that worksheet or that songwriting sample to take home, generally that's going to help reinforce the topics from the session. And whether it's self-empowerment, self-esteem, we do a lot of printing and sanitizing, I always say. So when we're recruiting volunteers, I say, get ready for sanitizing wipes, laminating, and sheet protectors. Because again, the services we provide at our clinic, we hope for that to be the same quality as at your nursing home, at your school, at the Y, same quality of materials. So it does take a lot to ensure that's provided. Am I doing okay on time? I just have a few slides left. Okay, cool. Thank you. This next testimonial is really cool from Adult Day Program. When I term Adult Day Program, that's working with individuals that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. IDD, you might hear it. Years ago, you might have heard of MR, mental retardation, but these days we call it intellectual or developmental disabilities. So this statement is, Piedmont Music Therapy gave us another resource to reiterate coping skills in an engaging way that accommodated each of our customers' needs for support. This therapy has built confidence and communication skills for our customers. So that's from one of our nonprofit partners in Charlotte. We work with every other Monday for an hour. And then I wanted to spotlight this former volunteer who also was a veteran, very hugely helpful, detail-oriented gentleman who shared on his way out. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of the team at PMT and to work with such a great group of professionals. Thank you for what you all do for our community. Thank you again for letting me be a part of your work. So our culture here at PMT is it's good to ask questions. It's important to ask questions because when we are out and about in the community, you come across a lot of different scenarios. So the more we can take our time to make good choices and focusing on what the client or student needs is important. Any questions before I share more about our newsletter and this month's happenings? I can try to answer.
Gretchen, we'll do questions at the end. So people are typing them in the chat, and then I'll go through the chat after you kind of get to the end of your slides. So perfect.
Thank you. All right, and that was just my contact information, especially if you think of something later. Our website is pretty up to date. Facebook, not so much, but it's current. Instagram, we do post daily if you're on Instagram. So one area, if you'd like to learn more, is we do have a monthly newsletter. So I linked it there, and I will try to put that in your chat section. But you can subscribe at the bottom of the newsletter. So this would be a great way to hear about what we're up to in the community. So that hopefully is linked in your chat section. In our newsletter, you'll see a little bit about the music therapy workshop series. We're offering an 8-week series funded through Mecklenburg County to support veterans or veteran caregivers with their mental health. So it's 8 weeks. On that first flyer in the top corner, you'll see 2 different instruments, a djembe, which is just a small drum, and the other one's a steel tongue drum, which is super cool to explore. If we ever meet, I'll share one with you so you can play it. The veteran or veteran caregiver will be able to pick one of the 2 to keep after the series, again, empowering them to use the arts for self-care however often they'd like to. It's one thing if you've ever met with a therapist or a counselor or a coach, you feel great, but if you don't have those tools at home, there's going to be a disconnect, and that momentum eventually is going to falter. So the more, again, that we can equip people with, especially adults, right? Nice quality instruments, not just bright colored primary instruments you might remember from grade school, it can be itself empowering. So that's an 8-week workshop. There's 2 music therapists that lead that just because there's a lot of sensitive information that may come up. Not everyone that I've served in a group setting likes to be in a group. Sometimes people want to take a little walk. So that way, with two of us, we can ensure appropriate ratio. It's hosted at the American Legion Post 380 Incorporated in Charlotte. And right now we think we have around 9 or 10 registered, which is just huge because this hasn't been offered in Charlotte. It's not offered through our local VA. In Salisbury, you can get music therapy as a veteran covered by your benefits, but not in the Charlotte location. Also on that picture, you've got the Senior Expo. We'll be at that this Thursday tabling. So it's just a great opportunity for us to be in the community, answer questions, and save the date for other resources we have coming up. And I think this is the last page for the president, but just some QR codes if you're a QR person. If not, I'll gladly email you any of the links. But in an overview, we appreciate support through so many ways. One way being volunteering. Some people volunteer remotely. They're savvy with social media, so they help us with that. Staying organized with communications. You can financially donate via Venmo. You can contribute your time and talents through board service. We are still selling a few sweatshirts remaining, so you can purchase a PMT sweatshirt. But yeah, that's our website. So I really appreciate your time and allowing me to speak with you today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Gretchen. That was great. It prompted lots of questions in the chat. So I'll kind of go through some of the questions for you. And then we'll definitely share the contact information in my little meeting recap. So just gonna kind of go through these. They're in random order, but what's the most popular instrument that's used in therapy?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say guitar for portability, but I'm stubborn, so I say piano. Because piano to me is a lot easier to play personally, so it's still easy for me to share a piano with someone, whereas guitar, it's quite cumbersome. But most music therapists you're ever going to meet are going to say guitar because you can strap it on. I can walk, dance, bend, squat. Instrument's great. Keyboard, we don't always have battery operated ones, so there is that tripping hazard, to like setting it up with the cord, visibility, but usually guitar or piano.
So when you say piano, would a portable keyboard be something that's in demand then for wanting to be used?
Yeah, I would say we're doing okay with electronic keyboards that are touch sensitive. When I say touch sensitive, that means if I press the piano hard, it's going to be louder volume. But if I press it lightly, it's going to be softer, like piano for you musicians out there. So we're not needing any keyboards if I have to DJ the volume button just to make it loud or soft, because that also isn't that natural of a skill set.
Right.
But for some of our mobile sites, it is helpful to kind of leave an instrument there for weekly services and for them to use however they want to when there's not music therapy groups going on.
Right. Okay. How do your clients find out about you? Do you get referrals from medical professionals, or are most of them found online?
That's a great question. Our biggest referral source is from people searching for music therapists near me. So it's changed over the past decade, but now it's all Google. So we maintain an active Google business profile because people are educating themselves. They're looking for resources. For someone, in their 40s that has had a stroke and is working on communication skills, and right, lots of our clients have PT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, OTs. They work with a speech language pathologist. So for those clients, they're usually just so exacerbated or they got discharged, but they're still needing something more. So most referrals are from family members or clients themselves, but we do receive some referrals from audiologists. That's a frequent referral partner.
Okay. Next question is your opinion or lack of music experience in public education. And I know now some schools that have always had a music program that they've either, when budget cuts happen, the arts are one of the first things that gets cut. But how do you feel like the music experience is at this time?
That's a large question. I can only speak for myself. I was born and raised in Columbia, so I'm a local. And when I was born and raised, orchestra was provided through the public school system. However, I live in a town that there's no orchestra in any of our public schools. So to me, if I hadn't had that introduction or my peers, how would you know what you like or dislike? So I'm always an advocate for any age to at least make it available for someone to say, that's not for me, or I love it. But there's so much research behind equipping people with tools. And it's sad to me if I pull out a guitar and kiddos are like, oh, that's a violin. I'm like, no. So then I have to go into a whole orchestra spiel because I want them to know what instruments are called if they see a musician or see an orchestra. There's strength to knowing facts. But I think we can't have enough arts in the school day. But I am biased because public orchestra since grade 5. That's how I was able to play so many orchestral instruments was during my school day. And I loved it. And that's how I found my friends. And I share that all the time. That's how I stayed out of trouble. I was in youth Philharmonic Orchestra in South Carolina. I mean, I was always doing music. So I'm a big fan of it.
Awesome. And then I think you answered this question, but working with veterans, one of your flyers was definitely that you do some work with veterans. So that's good to know. How about organizations that offer grief support or like a camp event or something where there's grief counseling?
I can share a few different resources. Piedmont Music Therapy often partners with Jewish Family Services of Greater Charlotte, JFSGC, and they offer a 4-week series for grief, loss, trauma for anyone age 60 plus. That's grant funded. So we're one of the arts workshops for said people. And now that COVID, we've all lived through that. Pretty much anyone qualifies because COVID-19 was so impactful on our daily living.
That program, you said it was 60 and over?
Yes, Jewish Family Services of Greater Charlotte. So we always link that in our newsletter. We worked with them for a few years to offer a 4-week series. For locals that might know of children impacted by death immediately, Chameleon's Journey is a weekend providing support for youth and families impacted by death. So I believe that's organized through VIA Partners, which is a hospice agency of the Carolinas, but they just had their fall retreat this past weekend. And I know the music therapist that worked there and tells everyone the week prior, I'm getting ready for a really sensitive time. So I'm off email because as you can tell, I have had a little bit of work in oncology settings, inpatient and outpatient and hospice palliative care. It's a lot on you emotionally to be present. So I think that was one of the things I learned in the field was, wow, this is really tough. But having that opportunity keeps me humbled, right? I don't have to go get transfusion once a week or dialysis. So there are resources, but sometimes you just have to ask the questions to learn where it is in your community.
Right. And I think that that's important too. You know, you make an interesting point that you guys are providing therapy to groups in need. And sometimes you're doing fun and uplifting things. And sometimes you're doing really heavy work. So hopefully you guys have a system that supports your therapists. Therapy for therapists that you know, because that is a lot for you guys to carry around too. Because music is great for times of solace. So a couple questions specifically about singing. I think Ken was asking about hearing music versus singing it. And then, you know, the percent of people that can't carry a tune and still kind of doing music therapy.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll start with the easier question at the beginning. There's a lot of great neuroscience research studies, so you can do a lot of Googling to watch, for example, Renee Fleming, who's a famous vocalist, opera singer, who agreed to have different scans placed on her to watch how her brain was impacted when singing versus humming versus listening. So it is fascinating. Music does win the prize because it activates both hemispheres of the brain. So the more involved you are, the better for your system. That's the best way to describe it. As
So
far
you
as,
should sing and listen at the same time.
I mean, you're going to be, unless you're really having a rough day and you're just like singing your own song and everyone else is singing something from a different song. But
Right.
as far as percentages, yeah, that's an interesting question about oral skill with people's good hearing, Mr. Kenneth, if they can hear pitches or not. I have worked with a lot of people that, as long as they're present and engaged, I'm not going to nitpick at the pitches, because they are engaged and they're choosing to participate when everything else has been taken away from them and there's no control in their daily life. So I don't have any numbers, but I definitely, for some clinical settings, you have to do a lot of calming statements, right? Like, no one's going to be recording this. What happens in Vegas stays at Vegas. But it can be hard for some personality types that are so type A, and they're like, well, what if I mess up? And you can tell it's just really hard for them to just let go. Like, the purpose is just to sing. That's it. Nothing more. But yeah, in our culture, right? Unless there's a checklist, we feel like we can't allow ourselves time to take care of ourselves. And that, in essence, is what we're trying to accomplish through music therapy, is just self-care through the arts. Did I miss any of your other questions, Kenneth? I'm trying to recall.
I think that is the gist of it. We have just a few more minutes. So I think Barbara had asked if there's any youth involved in the community events as volunteers, or with the music therapy, like a high school chorus or band, anything that you do that involve youth volunteers.
Yeah, we started a volunteer program in 2017. So sometimes we get like an honors fraternity club that's music based that helps at a studio recital. We have had previous high school volunteers, 2 of which pursued music therapy for college. And that's why we started a volunteer program. So many people were like, I have questions. I want to watch a session. And so I'd say, well, you can help behind the scenes. You might encounter a client. The caregiver might start talking to you in the lobby. But we do have a volunteer opportunity through Share Charlotte. So that's like a nonprofit consortium we're a member of. So we had some high school, middle school students with their guardians over like spring break doing like a deep clean in our clinic space. So we're always open to it, because their curiosity is great to acknowledge the work clients are doing.
As Candace mentioned, we are going to collect some instruments for you. And I don't know if I can hold this up, but I got a flute today that was delivered. And so this will go to Candace, and I might possibly have a saxophone, but I'm waiting for that. But definitely anybody that has a connection with some instruments, you heard she said they had plenty of guitars, but I've had a couple upright pianos, but those are really hard to transport.
Yeah, definitely those percussion instruments are the most used. So your maracas, lap drums, djembes. If we receive any like flutes or saxophones, we'll pass them to the Fort Mill High School band, because they can receive those. For us, we usually don't use those often, just with hygiene, sanitizing requirements, but we will definitely get them to people using them. We won't throw away anything.
Awesome. And for someone who doesn't sing, I don't have a lot of, Ken would probably think that my voice was earth shattering, but I do love, when I was hiking during the time of the hurricane evacuation, I was in Charlotte at the botanical gardens at the University of Charlotte, and then also a park nearby. And they both had a section that had like instruments made, like you're out there in the woods and then all of a sudden there's a dome and a xylophone thing. And I think it is very interesting to have that for children and adults alike, the ability to just pick up something and start making musical tones. And one of them at this park was just a giant metal dome. And then they had cut grooves in it in different places. So then where you hit the dome changed the tone. And so it looked like nothing but a big piece of metal, and yet you could just stand there and make music. And I think those are the things that when people are out there wanting to just have a little bit of letting their brain go, I love seeing that in public places now. So I definitely think there's a lot of healing to be done with music. So I really thank you, Gretchen, for your time, and also Jim for joining us. And I'm going to dedicate our book. As a speaker gift, we dedicate a book in your name. And so our book this week is Every Little Thing. And it's the universal story of a boy who won't let anything get him down, with the help of 3 special little birds. And this book contains beautiful designs that are as colorful and fun as the storyline. And so this book will be put in a little free library with your name in it. And thank you for our program. And again, thank you for all of the information that you've provided. And we definitely will share that in our chat. And so if everyone could unmute and follow me with the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it
Is it the
the
truth?
Second.
Is it
Is it
beneficial?
fair?
Fair to all
For all concerned.
Third.
Will
it
it
feel
build
goodwill
better
and
better
friendships?
friendships?
Fourth. Will it be
Will it be
beneficial
beneficial to all
Beneficial for all
concerned?
concerned.